People often ask me about intimacy and the effects of intimacy on their relationship, their romantic relationships, and some of their platonic relationships. So today, we're going to talk about some intimacy requirements. Now, I found these on Dr. Elizabeth Frederick, on Instagram. That's my doctor. I love her. I love her. I found her on Instagram and I just love her list. She has these great lists. And every so often I bring you one. This is our intimacy list. Now, we talked about this before in different ways, but I'm going to talk about it today because people ask me about intimacy so often. So my name is QueenAusetHeru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and pass it on to anybody and everybody that you know. Please drop us a positive comment in the comment section. And if you want to get a reading done, please hit me up on social media or email me, and I'll be glad to get you in. Likewise, my Patreon is underneath this video. I would love you to join us on Patreon. All right, guys, let's get started. The first requirement is intentional efforts toward creating emotional and physical safety. You can't be intimate with a person you don't feel safe with, period. So if you don't feel safe or they don't feel safe, your ability to have that intimacy is not going to happen. So that you have to, it says here, intentional effort. So you got to do whatever you got to do to make the other person feel safe. And that physical safety and emotional safety, it has a lot to do with location. Like, I might not feel comfortable being intimate with you, in a place that I don't like, where the environment isn't comfortable or warm or inviting, something like that. Or if I feel like somebody might come in and shoot me at any moment or something bad might happen, that's the physical safety. So you have to make sure it's a safe space. And the emotional safety also has to do with me feeling like I can trust you and like you're not going to tell everybody. A lot of people, the problem is running your mouth. I don't want you to tell everybody my intimate details. So if I feel like you're going to do that, I'm going to be less likely to be intimate with you. So that's really important. Number 2, consistency and mutuality in showing up for each other. So you have to both show up for each other and be consistent with it. What does that mean? Well, showing up for somebody is being there when they need you, and it doesn't mean like you're always going to be there, because life happens. But consistently means that most of the time, whenever possible, you will be. So when I say showing up for them, if they call me about something that happened at work, I'm there to listen. If they come over or they want to text or they need a helping hand or they need a pat on the back or a shoulder to cry on, I make myself available when and if I can, consistently. I'm not around here and there or when I feel like it. Next one, allowing for each other to have unique wants and needs. If your partner feels like their wants and needs are disrespected, unwelcomed, that's a problem. And they're not going to want to be intimate with you in that kind of way because their wants and their needs are being ignored. So that's another thing that you can do that's very simple. Just allow a person, accept a person's wants and needs. And if you can't accept their wants and needs, you shouldn't be with that person. If something that they want or they need is fundamentally against who and what you are, you shouldn't be with that person. The willingness to talk about uncomfortable and difficult things. If you want somebody to be intimate with you, you have to know that some of the things they say might be uncomfortable. They might be disturbing. They might be difficult. They might have uncomfortable childhood memories, for example. This happened to me the other day. Or the person could, want to talk about something bad that happened at work. How is a person going to be intimate with you and they can't even talk to you about difficult things? That's not showing up for a person. Being aware of and gentle with each other's insecurities. If somebody tells you their insecurities, or if you pick up on insecurities, because sometimes they won't tell you, and you are picking at them about their insecurities, making fun of them, or making light of them, or teasing them about their insecurities, they may be less likely to be intimate with you. Now, in some cases, y'all might be playing, and that might be how y'all play. But in other cases, they might be less likely to tell you things or be intimate with you because of how you responded. So like she said, you got to be really gentle and aware of those insecurities, and they can be triggers for that person. So you got to be really careful with those. I never joke about another person's insecurities, unless it's like an inside joke that we both have. That's one thing. But even then, I'm really careful because you never know. They could be sensitive that day and not think it's funny. Scheduling weekly check-ins to talk about your relationship. If you're in a relationship with someone and you schedule like a weekly check-in, it does help a person, more so want to be intimate with you, because that really does show that you're attentive and you care about the other person. You care about their feelings. You care about how they're showing up in a relationship. You care about their perception of how you're showing up in a relationship. That is an awesome requirement. I love that one. That's a great one. I think all couples should do that, to be honest with you, because most of the couples I know, especially the ones that break up, it's because they lack communication. Communication and comprehension, those two go hand in hand. So if y'all can sit down once a week and make an effort to understand each other, that goes a long way. Managing your expectations. Perfection should not be the goal. I agree with this one 100%. People expect perfection of themselves and others, and it causes a lot of problems because perfection is impossible. There's nothing in this world that is truly perfect that man has created. Everything has some type of blemish. Everything has some type of flaw. Every person has a blemish or a flaw or a past or this or that. There is no such thing as perfection. So if you have an expectation that your relationship is going to be perfect or that the person is going to be perfect, you're going to get let down every time. That is not reality. Asking questions about your partner's feelings and experiences. I think it's really important to talk to your partner about these things. A person's feelings and experiences make up who they are. So if this person is your partner and you never talk to them about their feelings, the person's probably going to get the impression that you don't care about their feelings or their experiences. And how are you going to build intimacy if they think you don't care? A person who thinks you don't care is less likely to open up. Scheduling daily and weekly one-on-one connection rituals. Now, daily and weekly one-on-one connection rituals can be something as simple as date night. That's one. And they gave us one before when they talked about talking about things. I think it said weekly check-ins to talk about your relationship. That one is definitely a one-on-one connection ritual. But like they said, going places with each other. Maybe, for example, doing meditation together can be that kind of thing. I had a friend, we used to both get the same book and read the book and discuss it once a day. I have a friend right now, we read one poem a day and discuss the poem. So these small things are connection rituals, and they're very easy. Sometimes I'll go online and get like a list of questions, that you ask a person that you're friends with or dating, and we'll talk about the questions, and they're not questions that are really like difficult questions. It might be like, what's your favorite food? What's your favorite childhood memory? Stuff like that. These are connection rituals because they're sharing their feelings, they're sharing their experiences, and you're connecting. And they're so easy to do because you think about it. How many times do you text somebody what you doing? Where you at? What you do today? What you eat? You can text them something like, something, I always wondered, what's your favorite childhood memory? Something as simple as that can be a connection ritual. Addressing conflict as it arises and repairing as soon as possible. Now, this is very important because if you do not address conflict as soon as it arises, it festers. And so many of my couples that break up break up behind something that's been festering for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. You have to resolve issues, and so many couples don't. So many couples do not do it. What ends up happening is an issue arises, they argue about it routinely, repeatedly throughout the years, but never come to a resolution. And that's bad, because if it's bad enough, the situation, it can eventually break up the couple. So if you have a conflict, it's like, address it quickly. Don't ignore it. Don't pretend. Don't sweep it under the rug. Address it very quickly and try to repair it. If you did something they didn't like, you didn't remember something, you forgot their birthday, you cheated on them, whatever you did, address the conflict immediately. Because if you don't, like I said, it festers. And so many of my couples will tell me, this started 15 years ago. This started when we first met. This started the week after we got together. Like, some of these things started at the beginning of the relationship, and they just gnawed at the relationship until the couple eventually broke up. And sometimes it wasn't even something that was so major that they couldn't fix, but it just festered for so long, and they argued about it and ignored it for so long that it corrodes everything. It eventually just destroys the entire relationship. So if you have a conflict, don't ignore it. Lastly, accepting that intimacy is an ongoing journey with ups and downs. Yes, intimacy is all about getting to know your partner, connecting with your partner. It's not just sex, as you can see. They didn't even mention sex on that list. They could have, but they didn't. I think purposely to let us see that intimacy is not just about sex. It's about closeness. It's about one-on-one, me seeing you, you seeing me. That's intimacy. Being naked with each other emotionally. That is intimacy. And that type of energy, in my opinion, is what you need to fall in love. So if you're in the street not trying to fall in love, you don't need intimacy. But if you're trying to love anybody, platonically or not, you need intimacy. And a lot of these, by the way, will work with friends too. You don't have to just do these with a romantic partner. Like, for example, the connection rituals. You can do that with anybody. You could send your mom, poetry, and y'all could talk about songs and stuff like that. Any of these things you could do with anybody you care about. You just kind of like, tweak it, tweak it if it's platonic, or tweak it if it's not, and some of them don't need to be tweaked at all. Now we're going to do some positive comments. The first one is from Katrina Midget. I think that's what that says. I just found out that I might have bipolar disorder, and my ex showed back up in my life. Damn. The timing, right? Oh my goodness. I don't mind exes showing back up if they've changed. If you haven't changed, don't show back up. Seriously, if you broke up with somebody and you still that same person, and you know that person is not acceptable to the person that you broke up with or broke up with you, leave them alone. Just leave them alone. I see this happen all the time. Amethyst Ascension, what's up, my girl? Amethyst Ascension said, I love this. You are so thorough with your readings. Thank you. Of this type. I have wondered through the years about this lost colony. I think you are just right. Yeah, the lost colony of Roanoke. That was the video I did. I did a video where I looked to see what really happened to them. And I talked about it and I pulled cards on it. So if you didn't see that one, check out my video on the lost colony of Roanoke. My girl Amethyst Ascension agrees with me that she thinks that's what happened. And when you see the video, you'll see what we're talking about. But it was a very interesting case. I've been hearing about that since I was a child. So that was very cool. All right, guys, we're done. So it's time for us to get going. You come back soon because I got a lot more to say. See you later.